One.
Welcome in to the first ever edition of Take a Shot Podcast Baseball Edition. We're going to talk a little Royals, a little MLB. So I guess we'll start off here with a little cheers. And let's start with the hometown Royals. They suck. Jeff, would you like to dive into that a little bit more?
Yeah, there's certain aspects. Obviously, Vinny Pasquantino, they took him out for the rest of the season, and it's little things like that. It's almost correlates with the NFL, NBA. What's the point? If this guy has a lingering season, you kind of knock it out, you get it out of the way. There's no point of pushing through it to try to compete for anything because you're not at this point.
Just get right for next year.
I think just overall in general, I think you and me talked about it last week. When you looked at the roster, there was just so much hopefulness for the young guys.
Yeah.
And it was all but other than that, you had Salvi and Greinke. Maybe you made a case for Aroldis Chapman. You know what I mean? It was all he can be that reliever that, that consistency of always coming in and shutting down a game.
Is he still on the roster?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is he doing anything?
He's doing very well.
Is he?
He's going to be the big.
Oh yeah, he's going to bring in some
prospects.
Some big prospects.
We'll probably get 3 or 4 prospects out of him. Come towards.
So he had a resurgence. That's awesome.
Oh yeah. The only thing is, I think me and Caleb both said it. You just hear it all the time. When they play him one night, he does phenomenal. And then when they try to do the back-to-back, he's just, I don't know what it is. He doesn't...
Schedule, routine, all that stuff. I know that's really important to baseball players and the amount of rest that you're used to getting. So I would say don't jack with it.
Yeah, and it's weird because the Royals keep doing it and it almost jacks up his ERA a little bit. But yeah, when he tries to come in and relieve back-to-back games, and I'm not talking like he's relieving for... 3+ innings or something like that. It's maybe 1, maybe 2. Mm-hmm. But just the aspect of, if they ever do the back-to-back with him, it just seems like that second game, he skyrockets his ERA. But I know there was a lot of hopefulness because of the fact that, we finally, I think we pulled the trigger, and it was right where the team was going in the aspect of, we weren't competing, we weren't doing good, so there's no point of bringing back, Benintendi. I mean, Mondesi, you can't really rely on him because of injuries every single year, even though I think if he's healthy, he's a phenomenal, dynamic player. Getting rid of Whit Merrifield, just kind of pulling the ties with some of the veteran guys that we had, and now giving all these young guys to, see what they can do.
And how's that going?
Obviously, your projections to be hopeful in anything. You know what I'm saying? I think at best, before the season, the diehards and the actual hopefulness of fans, we're thinking, okay, we're going to be slightly below, if not competing with a high 70s. You know what I'm saying? Season, not necessarily wild card, but we're 6, 7 games out of getting into the wild.
Where we're showing improvement,
but we're competing.
Yeah.
Obviously, realistically, it's just like we did the NBA talk. Once the finals happen, once the season begins, it's all okay, we were very, very hopeful. And this is a, make or break it year for projection-wise for the Royals because, you got some guys that you're thinking about signing long-term and putting contracts up to see if, okay, are these going to be the guys that make or break us and we can revolve around in the future? And we're starting to see that with some of the guys.
Yeah, especially when you're talking about the hitters, the pitching's just abysmal. The pitching's piss poor.
I think that comes down to just the system.
They just spent so much investments in drafting young guys at the pitching position that just didn't really work out. But you look at what they've got, for everyday lineup guys, and I know. Jeff and you and I have talked about this. Baseball has become so analytical, but there's some of those stats that when you look at the analytics, there are certain stats that I truly do believe in and look at. I don't buy into all that exit velocity and.
Are you talking about analytically or just pure stats?
There's stats, but there's evolved stats. So one of them that I look at a lot is OPS. That's on base plus your slugging percentage.
Yes.
Those are numbers that can't really lie. That's how much do you get on base and how much is your slugging percentage, and you take those and you combine them. If you're over 700 700 to 750 in that category, you're pretty good. You start hitting the 800s to 900s, you're getting to be like really good. And then if you're over 1,000, you're like elite. Like the over the 1,000% is like your Otanis, your Trouts, your Judges, those types of things.
We got any of those?
We don't have any of those. So
We don't have any of those.
our highest OPS player on the team is Nick Prado. And he's one of the young guys that's coming up. Nick Prado has got basically an 800. He's .799.
But even from the start of the season, he hasn't been a full.
No, you know,
I think he's earned the stats of maybe, like you said, that OPS.
Yeah.
Of being recognized in the MLB now, but at the beginning, like I said, you have to have so many games before actually you are.
He's about 100 at bats behind
Right.
the rest of the team, the regular starters. Like Salvi's got 250 at bats,
Right.
and Prado's got 158. So I
Exactly.
mean, it's a small sample size, but he's leading the team there,
Yeah.
and he's doing a lot of really good things. And
What, 270 something average? or
yeah,
something like
you
that?
know, 285 average.
Okay.
But they're also, what's really unique about him is he's a first baseman that they're playing leadoff most of the time now. They put him into that leadoff spot. He's not your prototypical leadoff guy. And then you got Salvi having a great year. He's doing what Salvi usually does.
So that's a good thing, because I remember last year I went to a few Royals games, and I remember people were talking about, well, we know that basically he's an older veteran and we need to like ship him away to try to get some draft picks. And
which I still think they should do.
fine, but I think it's nice. It's like, because if you always ship out everybody, which is what the Royals have done for such a long time, it's sad when you never let a guy that's been great for the franchise actually finish out. Like Alex Gordon, thankfully, got to finish out with the Royals.
Yep.
And yeah.
But I think the career of Alex is way more different than Salvi.
True.
Because I think it almost hurts Salvi in the aspect of him staying for the Royals, his longevity and the rest of his career, than going off
Yep.
to, New York, or
He could go and build his legacy with another
and
championship.
go win another
Yeah.
ring, this
Yep.
and that.
And
that's
also
it.
it would be a big part of this Royals rebuild because they need something different. And honestly, they probably should have, like, for a business point. What did I say?
Aspect.
Yeah, aspect. Yeah,
Ask
point.
point.
Ask point. They probably should have traded him a year or 2 years ago when his value was a little bit higher. They could have gotten, some top 100 prospects back.
Well, you had the year where, he was close to breaking the home run record and so on and so forth.
So, you look at that, but some of the other guys that we really were counting on this year to take big steps as far as some of these younger guys, Bobby Witt's, he's really hard to gauge because he's not just a one or two tool guy that you're looking at.
Yeah.
He does a lot of things really well, but he doesn't have that one trait that he's just amazing at yet.
Yep.
He's hitting 244 on the year. His OPS is 705. So, I mean, he's not having a horrible year, but then you look at some of the other things he's doing. The dude's got, 21 stolen bases already.
That's the only aspect I think I was going to, say to you is that his speed is killer.
Yeah.
He's going to be that guy.
And he's gotten so much better at defense from last year. But then, some of the disappointments out there, we thought, at least I did, I thought MJ was going to make a
I was a
huge
big
jump
fan.
forward.
I was a big fan.
And, he's batting 218 with an OPS of 659, and he's not showing a lot of power either. On the year, he's got, 12 home runs. So no, that's not even right.
No, I don't think even that. It's what? I thought he was only like 8 or 9.
6. Sorry, I was reading that stat wrong. So, I mean, he's not even hitting for big power. But, overall, you've got pieces that you can build around. You've got Prado, you've got Vinny. Vinny was having a great season before he went down.
Love Vinny.
Yeah.
Love Vinny.
With somebody that you can build around for the future. And then the new kid that just came up, Michael Garcia. I really like Michael Garcia. But here's where I take a curveball with the Royals is one of those young guys that's doing well, you got to trade him. You've got to take advantage of an opportunity because baseball players, when they get traded, the biggest thing that you can trade value-wise is years of control. Baseball teams love years of young control. So if you trade one of these guys now where they have 7 years of control, you're going to get the absolute maximum value back for them. These guys that are just starting to hit the major leagues, showing some potential, those are the players that teams overpay for because they're showing potential and they have 7 years of team-friendly cheap control.
Well, and this will show maybe like like I'm a fan of baseball, but I'm not, obviously like analytics and things like that up to par with you. But it will show you at least like my perspective. So like when you play MLB The Show, all right,
Which is a great game. I just haven't
Yeah,
played in a few years.
bear
But
with- bear
it's
with me.
addicting.
a guy that's like rated 55 overall but has the potential of an A is way more value than a guy that's like a 70 overall but has the potential of a C or a B. This and that, because of, like Caleb just said, the projection and the long term.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I feel like that's with just about every sport. Maybe not like quarterback in football, but like in basketball, a guy that has a ceiling of like you could be the next Giannis is more valuable than a guy that's like, we know that he's not going to suck, but that's all they can offer you.
But I just feel like in baseball it comes around a lot more. You know what I'm saying? Just because there's so many, like I said, there's so many players. Like we just talked about it outside during the break. There's so many guys that just come through the league. Like I said, the 1%ers of like Ohtani, Judge, Trout are gonna get those huge contracts. Everybody else is almost kind of like falls into place of, okay, I'm just gonna grab my money where I can, and what team will overpay me, so on and so forth. And so that aspect of baseball is like, yeah, the money side of it is completely different. But yeah, like Caleb was talking about, all the guys that we have right now that are like projection wise and are so young,
Yeah.
it makes them that much more valuable to other teams and what we can try to get back, But once again, I think it's just this, I don't know if you agree, Caleb, but I think it's just the system and the coaching and the development that we have huge issues right now with the
I
organization.
got a question real quick, because you guys were talking about Bobby Witt, right? Mm-hmm. And you were basically saying that he's not amazing at anything, but he's just kind of like he's solid at everything.
I think his speed is.
Okay.
I think it's
Besides obviously,
speed
yeah.
is elite. Yeah.
Okay, so here's my question. I'm not a huge Royals fan as far as what's happening now, but I watched a lot of Royals growing up. You guys describe that player of like a guy that's like, hey, he's pretty good at everything, but he's not great at anything. I thought of this guy that played third base back in the day.
Joe Rand.
Remember Joe Randa?
He is immensely better than Joe.
Okay, so that was my question. It was like, how good are we talking? Like, is he?
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, this was a guy that was.
Joe Rand had that serial killer face.
He got the grin. Yeah.
Yeah, he looks like-
He could have played the Joker.
Yeah.
Yes.
I love Joe Randa though.
No, Witt Jr. So he was drafted number 2 overall in his draft class out of high school, and then within 2 years made the major league team at the age of 20.
Well, that's all impressive, but I'm saying like right now, you're saying he is definitely better than Joe Randa ever
Yes.
was.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
because-
Ever was.
Okay.
Ever was.
Ever was.
Okay.
Joe Randa in his prime versus where Witt's at right now. Witt runs circles around.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I just feel like Joe Randa was a solid guy
Yeah.
for us, and obviously we weren't all that great back then. But
And I'm not, when I say like, those things about him, I'm talking about versus the height that he had because.
Yeah.
And he's still young, so he's got a lot.
you're just
of-
cracking up the Joe Randa reference that you never thought you were
Like I
gonna
said,
get.
this shows our age right here. If anybody's like 17 or 18,
They're like,
Who the hell is Joe
who?
Randa?
you're like Joe Rand.
I mean, I'm sure you guys remember when Johnny Damon was a Royal, Jermaine Dye. I mean, that's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Old Mike Sweeney.
Yeah, Mike Sweeney, obviously. Yeah.
I-
Mike Sweeney.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, Mike Sweeney. I think Witt Jr.'s like ceiling is more of like a Carlos Beltran, if you want to talk about like
Which
Royals
obviously we have
talent.
Beltran, yeah.
Well-
just because of the 5 tools, but Beltran's a Hall of Famer, so that's putting a lot.
And it
of-
was so sad that we had him for
different.
what? How many years did we have him for?
4.
I remember him briefly, and then he was gone.
Yeah.
Same thing with Johnny
But
Damon.
it's a different position though.
Yeah, he plays outfield versus Witt plays shortstop. So defense is a little bit different. But last year, I mean, Bobby's made big jumps this year because Bobby was horrible at defense last year.
I wouldn't say horrible, but yeah, it was definitely a learning curve.
And I know you hate analytics, but analytically, he was a bottom 5 shortstop defensively in Major League Baseball last year.
Yeah, analytically, MJ Melendez was the worst catcher in Major League Baseball. The worst.
Which he was not a great catcher last year. But part of that was they didn't allow him the rhythm to play catcher. They were playing him at left field, right field, catcher, first base, DH. They were just moving them all
And
around.
that's another topic, but yeah.
So, you look at what they've got. They've got pieces they can build around on the offensive side of the ball. Because not every team is going to have a stacked lineup 1 through 9. Like most teams just don't have that. Even the good teams don't have powerhouses 1 through 9. So if you've got guys that you feel good like Witt, Vinny, Prado, And then if MJ can make a turn, you got 4 guys there that you're like, okay, I feel pretty good about this. And then if one of the other young guys, like a Michael Garcia or maybe the Samad Taylor guy that just came up and made his major league debut, it reminds me a lot of Whit Merrifield and his versatility of what he can do. If one more of those guys, and you've got 4 to 5 guys that you feel really good on offense, like, okay, you feel pretty good about that. It's the pitching side of it. You can't name me one starting pitcher that you feel confident that, okay, I'm going to build my rotation around that guy. You can't even say that about Zach Greinke right now. Zach Greinke's got almost a 5 ERA.
But I don't think necessarily that's completely all of his.
No. But even these younger guys that were supposed to come up, Lynch, Singer, Bubich, Carlos Hernandez. Carlos Hernandez has made it to the bullpen now. They're throwing him out of the bullpen, and he's great out of the bullpen, by the way.
Right.
Love him out of the bullpen, but he's a failed starter. Jackson Kowar can't even get to the major leagues.
Yeah, I think the only one right now, at least like the upside of like projection wise, because it was obviously Singer.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I think we all saw at the end of the season last year.
Oh, he was lights out last year.
The odds were actually almost ridiculous on the fact of like they were pretty decent odds, like for him wise, not necessarily for bettors, for him to win Cy Young this year.
Yeah, it was kind of crazy. Like he really stepped up, and then this year he's just shit the bed.
Yeah. And the only one to me, at least, obviously Jordan Lyle, trash, so on and so forth. Greinke, yeah, he's a veteran, but I think the only one that, even right now, and it's just like little hiccups here and there, but just the longevity of the season. The only one that looks relatively even decent to talk about a long-term extension and contract is obviously Lynch.
Lynch, and most of that's because he's left-handed too, which makes him a little more valuable.
Right.
But let's hit on Jordan Lyles for a second, because what Jordan Lyles has done.
At this
Chris, you don't have to be a baseball fan to understand how bad Jordan Lyles has been for
I don't even know who that is.
So Jordan Lyles is kind of a journeyman of a Major League Baseball. For a Major League Baseball player, he's a journeyman. He's pitched for a bunch of different teams. He's in his 30s.
Is he on the Royals right now?
He is. The Royals just signed him this offseason. Was one of their big offseason moves. They signed him for 2 years, $17 million, which for the Royals is a fairly big contract.
Yeah.
Really, what their plan for him is they didn't expect him to be an ace. They didn't expect him to be, a top of the end guy. In baseball, you want what they call inning eaters, guys that can go out there and you're going to get 6 or 7 innings out of them because you just don't want to tax the bullpen.
Yeah.
So they were
it was like back in the day, it was our Danny Duffy.
Yeah. I think Duffy is much better than Lyles.
Okay.
But yes.
Well, better wise, but I think just like how Caleb's saying, that aspect of, you need a guy to come out there and, relieve a game or two of the bullpen.
Take some innings off of the bullpen.
Yeah.
And he's had some moments. I mean, he did throw a complete game this year, which when you hear the stat, you'll be even more amazed. So, yes, he threw a complete game, 9 innings, went the whole distance. He has made 14 starts this year. In all 14 of those games.
Yeah, what do you think his record is?
Well, the way you're talking about him, I would say maybe he's only got 4 wins.
No, he has 0 wins. He is 0-14. Every game that he has pitched in this year, the Royals have lost.
What's his ERA?
Oh, it's 6 or 7.
No, that's not good.
In modern day baseball, which they really started keeping track of these things in the 60s and 70s, he holds the record for most games started without winning a game. 14. Has not won a game.
So as a franchise, you would probably think we should probably cut our ties and move on from this.
6.89.
Not the Royals. No.
Yeah,
If you can get
6.89
something.
is his ERA. His strikeouts, he's got. What is this?
We don't need to go into all of it.
59 strikeouts to 48 walks. Don't need to be
Can I ask you a
rocket
question?
Yeah.
It sounds like he's the, MLB version of it. I'm trying to think of the perfect journeyman quarterback, but a Case Keenum, not Case Keenum, but
No, that's disrespectful to Case Keenum.
Yeah.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. Major league.
Okay.
Major league.
Okay.
I'm thinking Nathan Peterman.
Oh, okay.
That or Chase Daniel or something.
Oh no, that's even disrespectful to Chase because
It
at
could
least
be.
Chase could come in and maybe win you a
Right,
game.
that's- Maybe.
Okay.
Yeah. It's. I don't even know.
Okay, so he's literally that bad where as soon as he gets action, you're
Yeah.
just
Well, and then once again,
He's
like,
pitching tonight for his 15th game of the season, and I have zero confidence that they're going to win.
once again, we went out to what was it last week, and we saw the Royals
Yeah.
Wednesday,
Yeah,
and there's just so many bloopers and blunders that the
they're
field
just not
has.
well coached.
Yeah, they just make so many. It's almost like you're watching. It's not even a college team. I've seen better college teams
Oh, sure.
play the field.
But
better.
I know Vanderbilt has a good program. I'm assuming if you
Now, granted, it's college to major league, so you put those guys up against them, the Royals probably win.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Just because of his
Easily.
talent
Yeah.
level.
Yeah.
But just the eye test. You just
Yes.
watch them and you're like, oh my God.
Like I said, I thought
This is the team that you decided to field this year?
Yeah, I thought the Ringling Brothers came into town and was playing in Kaufman. You know,
I'd like to
Barnum
watch
and
the
Bailey.
Savannah Bananas over
Yeah,
this.
Barnum and Bailey. The circus was out there.
why can't I think of the manager that we won the championship with?
Ned
Yost.
Ned Yost. Do you think even if we have the same talent, do you think if Ned was managing this team that all those?
I think it's
stuff was
a
gonna
it's a
happen?
slight.
I think it's a slight bump, but their pitching is just so abysmal.
Yeah, and you can't really do anything about that. A guy can either
Yeah.
knows how to do it or
Even
or
back
doesn't.
then, what the James Shield trade and all that.
Yeah, I mean,
There's Montgomery. There's guys that
Yeah.
at least had like
Luke Hochaber.
yeah, Hochaber. I mean,
Yeah.
well, what they
We
had
tr-
back then was just the greatest bullpen of all time.
Yeah, but we did. We eventually got that with
I mean, we're holding on.
Kelvin Herrera and
Did we finally get rid of
Wade
him?
Davis.
Wade Davis. Yeah.
What was it, Keller?
No, Keller's still with us. He's been on the IL, so he's been out for.
But
a
that's
while.
what I'm saying. You're taking like the average of the road pitcher like Keller that has relatively a decent career. You know what I'm saying? I would say decent. There's some times where what was it last year? I think he started off really fucking bad.
Yeah, and then he turned it around.
And like I said, he's that guy that will always be a consistent.
But that's the embarrassing thing for the
Yes.
franchise is that Keller was a Rule 5 draft pick.
Yes.
I don't know if you guys are really familiar
Yes,
with what Rule
I
5
am.
is. So Rule
Long
5
story
is
short, but
basically Rule 5 is that after a player has been in your minor league system for 3 years, if they haven't made the major league roster,
They go back in the draft.
they don't go back. They kind of go into a draft. So basically, the team
So
has the choice to add them to their 40-man roster
Yeah.
and protect them, or leave them available for another team to draft them in the Rule 5 draft. The only
So
stipulation.
it's a separate draft.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The only stipulation is when the player gets drafted in the Rule 5, the team that picks them has to keep them on their major league roster for the entire year,
Yeah.
or give them back to the team that they took them from. So most of these guys are coming from low A, double A. Hardly any of them are your triple A guys. Like they're single A, double A guys. Brad Keller was a high A player,
Yeah.
and we took him in the Rule 5 draft, and he instantly became like one of our top 3 starters and played really well. And now he's outperformed these guys that we used. We had 3 first-round picks, and we took Singer, Coar, and Lynch. And he is better stat-wise and performance-wise than all 3 of them, and he came from the Rule 5 draft. So we put, in one single draft class, it was the 2019 draft class, we put 3 first-round picks into college pitchers, which predominantly when you take a college pitcher, it's about a 2-year window before they make the major leagues. They all made it in 2 years. And Bubic was our first second-round pick that year, too. So we spent 4 picks on college pitchers.
And he's awful. He's just straight.
Well, he was actually really good this year, and then he had to get Tommy John surgery. So he had a sub 3.5 ERA. He was looking like, okay, he might have figured something out, and then he's got to have Tommy John surgery. But what I'm getting out with the Royals that, you're not going anywhere with that. And then to bring this kind of full circle, you've got this horrible product out there. You're not winning games.
And then you want to build a stadium.
Yes.
Well,
And John Sherman's like, oh, well, hey, let's build a stadium here.
No, but once again,
I want your money.
And not to stay too much on top of it, and we'll get to the stadium here in a second. Just let me say this point. But projection-wise, like I said, the hopefulness of this team was best case scenario 70-something wins. That's still a losing record. That's still a losing season, so on and so forth. That's the hopefulness.
What is there? Is there 160 or 80?
162 games.
162,
yeah.
And they're on pace to lose 119 games.
Yes, and what I think
Just
it's
like the old times.
Oh, no, even worse. This will go down. If they lose 119 games,
was it
they'll be
50 or 52?
they'll be the 4th worst team in Major League Baseball
I
history.
think it's less than 50. It has to be.
Oh, yeah. It'd be like 38 wins. 30, or, yeah, something like that. 41 wins. I'm not great at math.
But just that aspect. I mean, we talk about, certain franchises and teams, like, was it Dan Snyder selling the team down? And I think we can all agree that the projection of this year for the Redskins isn't going to be that good.
They're not the Redskins
You know
anymore.
what I'm saying? Deshaun Watson leaving the Texans.
The Commandos.
You know, all these projections of the team, and that's what the Royals are going through right now. And granted, you know what I'm saying, it sucks, but the hopefulness of this team was at best somewhat being competitive and having 70 wins.
Well,
you know what I'm
and
saying?
if they got to that, I think a lot of people would have been happy because that would have meant that a lot of the young guys made
Progress.
progress.
But I think everybody caught a lot of smoke and not actual steam with this team. You know what I'm saying? Like I said, you looked at these young Vinny's coming up and Prado and Bobby Witt's going to be even better, this and that. And now we're seeing the actual, this isn't the 2014 or even 13 or 12 season where, you know what I'm saying, guys like Hosmer, Moose were coming up into an actual projection of like, okay, we're
Our
pretty
record,
good.
our record started getting
Now
better.
we can get better. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? These guys are literally being thrown in the fire, and it's all like, yeah, we suck, and now we suck even more. You
Yeah,
know?
but how hard is it for those young guys to come up and they look up at that standing and they're like, God, we have only won 19 games all year. Like, I don't want to be here. You know, like it's hard. You know, it's hard to bring that energy to the ballpark every night when you're losing 10 games in a row.
That's like last season with what's his name? Was it Mahaney or whatever?
No, Matheny,
Matheny?
fucking joke.
They were all like, oh, he's too strict, this and that, and they were like, oh, this year coming into everybody's having fun, and he's blah blah blah. Everybody's just in a good, happy mood. It's all like, you should never be in a good, happy mood if you're fucking losing and you're that
Well, that's
fucking terrible.
no matter what sport you're in. That's basically the thing. Is like, yes, you can look back and go, look, this is just a game. We all need to be grateful for what we got. But at the same time, yeah, if you walk in and you're just like, you don't care about winning or losing, that's like,
One, and that's what I didn't like coming into the season because they were like, oh, Matheny or whatever was, he was so strict. Even every game, it was like, we need to win. That should be your priority. You know what I'm saying? I hate the aspect when we came into the season. It just all didn't sound right to me. Is so many young guys. There's like I said, Greinke, you got Southie, and that's literally it.
I'm not willing to throw in the white flag on Cortero yet. I think that the system that he came from, the Rays system, they just do things a little bit differently, and obviously it works for them because they're a perennial winner. So he's probably trying to find that balance of bringing that in, but you can only do so much when you don't have talent too.
Right.
There's only so much that you can coach, and in baseball, coaching is, especially from a manager, like in-game manager standpoint, it's not like you could be like, okay, get out there and run this play or
no,
do that.
coaching or managing in baseball is the equivalent of, look, we all have good teams, but it's these minor little adjustments during the game that I can make and I can control, and these lineup changes is what makes us better. But that's basically all baseball players can do. As you said, if there's no talent, you can't tell the pitcher, look, I know your pitching coach told you this guy can't hit, in the top right section of the box.
Yeah.
I need you to try to throw it there. There's nothing really you can do. Either that guy can hit that spot or he can't.
Exactly. So, but my whole thing is you want as the owner, John Sherman, you want all this money for a new stadium.
Which I'm glad you got back to this.
And you're like, okay, I'm gonna, find a spot which they can't even tell you where it's gonna be.
Don't they want to put it next to where the Kansas City Star is at?
Oh, they've had about 7 different spots that they wanted in. They're not even sure that they're going to keep it in Jackson County now. Now they're talking about Clay County and putting it up north. And
I think that's all smoke.
it is. They're putting Clay County against Jackson County so that somebody will cough up some money.
Which I think I'm in Clay County, if I remember correctly. It's not something I keep track of very often. But yeah, it'd be closer to me. But at the same time, do I think that's where they belong? F no.
No, but I mean, ultimately, if you're going to ask taxpayers to spend money on a new stadium, you gotta, for the casual fan, like for me, like being a big baseball fan and always growing up with baseball, I think baseball belongs downtown. That's where baseball in most other cities is.
Yeah.
It creates more revenue
Right,
for the
but
city.
where they're at right now is not even that far from downtown. You can literally see it.
It's not, but the extra revenue that you get from being downtown, what it does for a community, like it just makes more sense. And baseball's always been an inner city type.
Sure, and I know you guys are going to agree with me on this. Out of all the sports, this is the sport that there's no salary cap. You can literally put as much effort as you want. So if you're the owner, you can put as much as you want into it and get a better team. They're not doing that.
No.
So that's the thing. You come across so stupid when you're asking your taxpayers, I need you to pay extra money for this new stadium, when I'm not even going to pay the extra money to put together a competitive roster.
Yeah.
So
And-
to me, you lose all credibility.
And that's where I'm at. Like me being the above average fan and keeping track of the Royals, and I have for my entire life. Like me, if the stadium was in Jackson County and they're like, "Hey, do you want to pay some extra money and get a brand new stadium?" Like, yeah, I would vote yes on that. But the average fan or the person that is not a fan of baseball is going to look at that and be like, "Why do I want to pay more tax money for this shitty ass team?"
Right.
And that's where they're at right now. There's no way that they're going to get enough votes on anything to get people to spend more money on a new stadium.
Yeah, because like if the Chiefs pulled that right now, they'd have a lot more credibility because Clark Hunt, Andy Reid, and Patrick Mahomes and the whole organization, Brett Veach, have proven we're invested in winning. We're not just trying to do one run and that's it. Like we're going to try to do this every year, and they've done everything smart to build that. But the Royals, we had our championship window with that roster, and because there's no salary cap, we had to let all those guys go, and I get it. But at the same time, they have not proven, aside from that little mini stretch that we had, they have not proven in the last 30 years that we can build a competitive roster. It's just that stretch, and that's it.
Yeah.
So the average Royals fan, me being one of them, because I would consider myself, when the Royals are competitive or good, I'd love to watch them. I can't watch every game, but I'd love to watch them. But when I hear from you guys, we're terrible, I'm just like, who wants to watch our pitching suck? Who wants to watch our hitters not be able to hit? Who wants to watch these prospects, if they do show promise, they'll be traded in a year or 2 years because we got to do that. I hate the structure of baseball for that. I just think it makes it so terrible for a small market team to try to compete. That's another reason why I don't want to watch.
There is a big competitive disadvantage in baseball because of that.
And because the Yankees, Dodgers, and Red Sox can basically make so much money, they're like, we're fine with this system. We'll keep going with it.
The three aspects to me is obviously, where the stadium's at right now. I mean, personally, I think it's almost like 50-50. It's right in the middle of where, downtown can come out and see them, take people out, towards like more of the rural, countryside, this and that. It's not that far of a drive. You make it more downtown, then obviously, it kind of upsets the further away people, this and that. I mean, going to Kauffman, to me, it's fun. I love the stadium. I love looking at everything. There's nothing wrong with it. You know what I'm saying? Like like I said,
Traffic could be so much worse if we
Exactly.
moved it downtown.
Exactly.
There's a lot of negatives to moving it downtown, but then you got to look at the other side of it is the Chiefs right now. So go ahead.
That was going to be my other one. It's like just the factor of the financial aspect, like you said, the revenue and everything from downtown. Yeah, it could change that whole aspect of just the life, the city, so on and so forth. Putting a stadium down there
Because it's not just going to be a stadium. They're going to
Yes.
build a whole orchestrated event center around it.
And I don't think people look at the long-term effects of building.
Well,
a
that's more
stadium.
jobs.
Yes.
Yes.
So on and so forth.
I mean, yes, but my thing is, what are we really getting out of this? Because I'm sorry, but I'm just going to say it. The Royals are not, even if they move downtown, you keep the same product. Okay, you might get a little bit
No,
more
you're
jumps.
going to have to put a better product.
And they're-
So that was the first two. Obviously, what I think about it out here, going downtown. Then the third aspect is we could be like Oakland,
And I know it's-
not have a team.
Right, and I know it's a different ownership than what we had when we won, because it was Glass that when we won the championship. If he would have pulled that, let's say right after we win, or maybe even after the 2014 season, we make it to the World Series, and he goes, I really want to push for us moving downtown. I think you could have got that passed easily.
Oh yeah, morale was at an all-time high.
Right, and people be like, yeah, that makes sense, whatever. But now, it just rings hollow when you say we need to move it. And I get what you're saying. My brother's, we've talked about it, where he said like, you're going to have a lot of these other businesses that are around. You'll build like an environment where people are going to love to hang out after the game, before the game, whatever. But I just think that like the bottom line is you'll still have the people around the Kansas City like us that if someone said, got Royals tickets, you want to go? You'd be like, yeah, of course, I'd love to go. Like, just be a nice, relaxing day. But at the same time, if you're asking people, are you like dying to see the Royals in person? If you're having to pay expensive money for a ticket, no, because the product's not good enough.
And I get your aspect of that, but in the same sense, once again, it's just like the Oakland situation. It's all like, would you rather have a team that's moved a little bit more towards the city, or would you rather just not completely have a team and that's just going to leave us?
Okay, football, because I love football so much and because football is easier to keep up with, I would say regardless of how crappy the Chiefs are, I'd still be like, keep them, whatever it takes to keep that team. Baseball, I don't want the Royals to go. I don't. But as long as we're in this stupid salary cap issue where basically we just can't compete, I'll be honest with you. I feel like I haven't been that great of a Royals fan the last 20 years because aside from 07, 08, when I had a lot of time in high school, aside from that, yeah, the Royals had to be really good for me to like pay attention because I just don't have the time.
But then you think about it, like Caleb said, it generates a lot of revenue, so on and so forth, and the Royals are going to get that cut.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
and that's what I was going to say. Hypothetically,
So then if you think about that,
they can spend more money on players.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, because the way the Chiefs are playing right now almost sets it up kind of perfectly for the Royals. To me,
Well, where the Chiefs just go,
The Chiefs
hey,
are
we,
so- the Chiefs-
we own the Truman Complex.
the
You
Chiefs-
guys move out. This is all ours.
Well, I think that's where it's going to get to
Yeah.
because the Chiefs have this plan where they want to build this giant mecca
Yeah.
of, they want to demolish Kaufman and put up shopping centers and all this other shit that
do
would
they
be used.
do they want to
Restaurants.
do they want to tear down Arrowhead and build a new one or?
I think that if they did that, then they would just renovate Arrowhead, like really.
Yeah, because I feel like there's
put a
something
dome on
there's something
it
cool
or-
about the history of this is where it's been and
Yeah, but if the Royals stay there and they don't move, then the Chiefs are going to be like, well, this is what we want to do, so we're going to go find the place that we can do it, and it's most likely going to be in Kansas.
well, and then once again, as a fan, it's like when I go to the Royals, it's barbecuing, it's grilling, it's pre-gaming,
well, and
it's
it's-
being out there with the other fans.
but it's also with the Royals. You're talking about Royals or Chiefs?
Either one. Just where the stadiums are at right now, it's
Yeah.
more of the fanatic and like the
Tailgating
Yes,
Yeah.
everything that they offer.
You won't really have that tailgate experience
downtown.
with the Royals.
Absolutely not. You
And no,
won't.
and that's fine. But in the same sense, now when I get done with the game, there's not Taco Bell across the street and the Subway gas station. Now you're gonna have
I guess-
actual.
I-
You know what I'm saying? Even the Denny's, I think, just recently closed or something.
No, it got burnt down.
Yeah, so there's nothing to do.
Well, I honestly
Kansas City
think
legend on.
I honestly think with
I
what
think
you're
even those hotels are down now.
yeah with what you're
Coco
talking
Key.
with what you're talking about as far as the Chiefs wanting to do turn the Truman Complex into what they want to do. I like that because the Chiefs is basically I don't care what anyone says about the Royals. Yes, when they're great you can do it, but really Chiefs is all about the tailgating experience of we're gonna all be this one community unit. The Royals, in my opinion, has always been more, unless they're good, has always been more about like people in Kansas City just want to go have a nice day at the K,
Yes.
relax with the family, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. Yes, you'll have some people tailgating. For the most part, people don't get.
Well, it's not like barbecue compared to
Yeah.
I always see like the little mini grills with
Chiefs
the
kickoff.
burgers and dogs.
It's just the way the season's
Yeah.
structured. Chiefs kickoff, that is so much bigger and important to Kansas City than
Yeah.
the day in the life of a Royals fan. It's like I just going to the game. But I agree with you. That kind of makes sense if you move the Royals. Yeah, we'll wrap this up. But if you move the Royals downtown, if you can find a spot, as long as they can figure out something with the parking, which I have no idea if they could, but if you could figure something out where people aren't just traffic's jacked up for the next 5 hours, as long as it's not that, I would sign off on it because you could get a better scenic view because that's what people kind of go for Royals. It's just a nice, relaxing day. That could work out. And yeah, if the Chiefs can turn the whole area into this is just Chiefs Kingdom, all this.
I
That could
think
work.
that's the only thing I'll jump on board with Chris before we end this is that right now it's affordable. You know what I'm saying? Whether it's parking, tickets, they're
Talking about
giving-
Royals games?
Yeah, they're giving away tickets at
Yeah.
this point just because of how bad they are. And that's just what makes it almost even funner because like Chris said, whether it's a Friday night, Saturday night, a game during the week and you're not even having plans or something. To go to the Royals and just go to the stadium, dollar hot dog night, all the promotions that they're giving away, bobbleheads, you know what I'm saying, fireworks on the weekends. It makes it kind of fun, and
Yeah,
it makes it enjoyable even though we're terrible.
And that's the thing. I almost want to say it's almost more fun when we're not good because you're not paying crazy prices and everything like that. You can enjoy your typical day at the K. Now that being said,
To be terrible and then charge more to go have fun like that
That's the worst.
downtown, that's what's going to be really
Yeah, that's the
difficult
worst.
for me.
Yeah. So, last baseball topic that I wanted to cover, and we'll do many more of these. Shohei Ohtani, greatest baseball player that we've seen in our generation, is going to be a free agent at the end of this year. And I wanted to get an idea from you guys of what you think a fair contract for Ohtani would be. So to put this in perspective, looking at this year, Ohtani's stats for the year, I'll go pitching first. He has a 6-2 record with a 3.29 ERA and a 1.05 WHIP. His hitting stats are even better. His hitting stats for the year are why isn't it switching? What'd you say? 24 home runs because this is being
Yeah.
sued.
Yeah. Pete Alonso has 22 right now.
This is dumb. Why is my phone
Ohtani's
being
got
stupid?
24. What other stats are you trying to look up?
His hitting stats.
Just hitting?
Yeah, here we go. So actually, he must have hit a home run tonight because he's up to 25.
Okay, sounds about right.
67 RBIs. He's got a 271 ERA, and then we were just talking about OPS. He's got a 998 OPS.
He's a 270.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's the biggest contract baseball's ever dished out?
So I just looked up. Mike Trout for the Angels was $426.5 million, and that's from
How many years?
2019 to 2030.
So it's
that's
an 11-year
11
contract.
year
11
contract,
years.
yeah.
So really, because everyone always says baseball players are the highest paid, and they're really not. Because
Soccer is.
yeah,
Yeah.
well, because also when you think about that, Mahomes
Was what, 10 years?
A $500 million.
is $500 million, but yeah, it was basically something similar. So like they're getting paid for
But
like
his isn't all guaranteed. Baseball is all guaranteed.
yeah. But also Mahomes, I will bet you could make more off his endorsements than any of these baseball players because, like I said, I was telling him. Mike Trout, I'm pretty sure I would recognize him if he walked down the street because of his build. But if you just showed me his face in a crowd of people, I wouldn't be like, "That's Mike Trout."
No, Mike Trout could show up here in Kansas City, and he could have been like at the Luke Combs concert, just sitting there in the stadium, and like 98% of the people there wouldn't have known him.
Right, and that's the thing is, we've talked about it. Baseball doesn't do the greatest job of promoting their players, but if we're just getting back on topic for Ohtani, how much he should make, from everything I've heard from you guys, and not only just you guys, everyone else, about a guy that can pitch amazing, but also how amazing he is at hitting, and because he's going to be popular for you as far as a star because of
He's going to
being-
sell so many tickets,
Right.
so many jerseys.
I would say whatever the biggest contract is, if it's Mike Trout, beat that contract.
Yeah. That's why I looked that up right before this because other than Mike Trout being the full complete 5-tool player, fielding, running, hitting, you know what I'm saying?
But-
throwing all those.
But Ohtani is even more valuable because of just
Because
pitch.
now he
Well,
has-
and
yeah.
pitching.
To hear that, I thought it was like you said, a sub 3 something ERA.
Yeah, but see, even 3.29 is nothing to shrug at. You know?
But even then, now at a 270, it's all like holy fucking shit. I mean, he could win fucking MVP and Cy Young
yeah.
in the same
Yeah.
year. You can't even put. I don't even know if you can put a price
Right,
on.
but like a part of it is like Trout could go like 4 or 5 innings where no one even hits a ball to him and he doesn't do anything on defense. I mean, obviously Ohtani's going to have nights where he's not pitching because he's resting, but like
Because I think he plays what right field or something, or the outfield.
yeah, he plays the outfield.
yeah. But it's like outfielders defensively they're just not good.
DH a lot.
Yeah.
They're just not. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not a baseball historian, but don't infielders normally make more as far as based off their defense than an outfielder?
It depends. If you're a center fielder,
Yeah.
center fielders are valued really high
Right.
just because of their usage.
Right, but if you're
Usually up the middle, so
Yeah.
shortstop, second base, center
Yeah.
field, catcher.
yeah, okay, because for me, I would value a guy on the infield because he's going to get more balls. I would think on a regular basis, so I need his skills to be better. Than I feel like a lot of times the guys in the outfield they get by as long as you have enough arm to get it where you need to. They'll pretty much put up with you as long as you can bat pretty well. But-
See, what I think are there's two different routes that an Ohtani contract can go, and it depends on what he's looking for. If he's looking for long term, and he wants to sign one of those 10-year mega deals that these guys in baseball have been signing, you know, like Tatis just got a 10-year deal, Hosmer got a 10-year deal.
Recently?
When he went to San Diego.
Okay,
he left.
because I was like, isn't he
It's
done
been
pretty
a
much?
while.
Yeah, he's DFA now.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Does anybody ever come back from being designated for assignment?
Yeah, some guys do, but very they don't usually do much when they come back. You've got who else did Machado just got a 10-year deal.
Yeah.
So if he wants to go that year,
Mookie, you know, Judge
yeah,
just
Judge, you know, if he wants to go that 10-year route because he's 28. So if he's like, hey, this is my last chance to really get a big payday, probably 10 for 500 guaranteed.
That's what I was saying. I was about to say $500 million.
Is probably what's realistic. But if he's like, hey, I kind of want to make a bet on myself here, and I could cash in 5 years, so maybe I take a 5-year deal, and I go 5 for 325, 5 for 350, and then I'm 33, and then I could try to do another 5-year deal.
Didn't Max do that?
Yeah, Scherzer did that.
I wouldn't do it, and it's just and if Scherzer did that, that's ballsy because I mean he is a good pitcher, but it's just for me pitching the injury thing of like all it takes is just like oh that was bad, and then you're just
Yep, and then you're Tommy John, and
Yeah.
you're never the same again.
right.
Yeah.
And that's what I would be worried about. So if I was his agent, I would tell him, look, I agree that maybe you could bet on yourself,
Yeah.
but
But see, the thing with Otani is let's say 2 years from now he has to have Tommy John into a 5-year contract, and he's never the same pitcher that he was. He can still hit,
for sure.
so
but-
he could still get another contract based on his hitting.
Right, but I guess my question is, and this is just going to ask you how good his hitting is. If he wasn't a pitcher and if he was just a hitter, how much do you think he'd get paid?
I think it's
He's still probably looking at like he could still get
The
a 10 for
Judge.
300. Yeah.
the Judge borderline. Mookie Betts deal. This
Because
and that.
he does everything. He hits for
Right.
power. He's got speed. He steals bases. I mean,
Well, since that's the case, then I think, yeah, all right, I changed my opinion. I think you have to be right. Because if you basically can guarantee me that his hitting is that good, and obviously, aside from some major injury where he couldn't hit, aside from that, yeah.
or maybe he even shortens that window. Instead of going 5, maybe he goes like 4 for 300. Something like that. Because some team will pay for it because you're basically getting a pitcher and a hitter. So if you think these hitters are getting 3 for what if you do a 5-year deal, you're probably getting 5 for 150.
That
But he
must
has
be.
to, for him to get that both side benefit. I think he has to stay on the AL side.
Well, they got rid of that. DH is universal.
Oh fuck, I forgot.
Yeah, so he could go
Okay.
anywhere.
But is it,
Never
so no one in the NL is still like, is anyone still
The
using
pitcher.
the pitcher to bat? No one.
I forgot about that. I forgot about that.
I think that was kind of sad because that was kind of the cool thing I did like, even though yes, it was kind of weird, but
Yeah,
I liked it.
Made it a little more
What's his name?
strategical.
Yeah.
Cologne.
Oh my god! Actually, funny story about Zach Greinke. I heard the other day.
Yes,
He
yes.
was he tried to steal a base in one of his last games in the NL, and his manager came to him. He's like, "Why the hell did you do that? Like, what are you doing?" And he was like, 20, 20, 20. And he's like, "What the hell does that mean?" He's like, "I was trying to be the first pitcher in the history of the game to have 20 hits, 20 strikeouts, and 20 stolen bases in the season."
Yeah, he's literally the only one that's like out of all of his stats, like most strikeouts, innings pitched, winning games, this and that. That's the most record that he's concerned.
Yeah,
with.
they're like, so what, do you, because he was like the first player to strike out over I think it was like 1,000 different hitters in baseball.
Well,
And they're like, "Are you proud of that?" And he was like, "I mean, it's whatever. I really wish." He's like, "I really wish I had 20 stolen bases so I could have had the 20-20-20."
well, like as far as Greinke, I mean, wouldn't you put him? He's in the hall of like he was a very good pitcher.
No, he's Hall of Fame.
Is he?
Yeah, Greinke's Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Greinke's stats is definitely Hall of Fame.
I know, it's just baseball doesn't have the pull like it used to. So like there were names like Maddox and like these other guys that you would go, okay, yeah, that guy's Hall of Famer because he's legendary in this regard. And I feel like Greinke, no one's ever gonna be like he was a legend. Like
No, I don't know if legend's it, but I mean he's got a Cy Young and he did that with the Royals. And then you look at like some of the teams he played for playoff teams. you
Yeah, I
know?
know.
And he played in Milwaukee in the playoffs. He played for the Angels in the
Angels,
playoffs, the
Dodgers.
Dodgers. When he was with Arizona,
Arizona,
they made
yeah.
the playoffs. Houston, he won World Series with them.
I forgot he was even on
Yeah.
Astros.
So I mean, and like his stats are they're up there. I mean, he's got 224 wins, which is astronomical for this era of baseball. He's got a 6.02 winning percentage, 3.46 career ERA, and some of those years that like when he was in Houston, like a 2.9, a
Yeah.
3.02 ERA. Like, yeah, he's 100% today retires. He's in the Hall of Fame.
Do you guys think you would have fun if we ever did like a Royals draft where we just like pick like the best players to ever wear a Royals uniform?
Oh, I would love
not talking about like their tenure as a Royal, but I just mean like
anybody who ever played.
yes,
for the
and we
Royals,
just like
yes.
try to pick our team. Would you like to do
I would
that?
love to do something.
Because
That'd be fun.
the Royals actually, I would think, have one of the best because of how many great players we've had that we just like can't keep you.
Well, there's guys that we never even seen hit the field that we just traded that were prospects. Like what's his name for Toronto, big home run hitter.
Oh, Jose Bautista.
Yeah,
he was
there's
in
just
our
there's
minors.
random guys like that you won't even realize. Like, oh fuck, we had him. You know what I'm saying?
Will Myers never amounted up to what he was supposed to be, but he was part of that James Shields trade that went to
Exactly.
Tampa Bay,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
he was like the number one prospect in baseball when
Yeah.
we traded him.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of those guys. That'd be fun.
All right. Well, we can do that at some point.
I heard you though, but yeah, like I know you don't watch baseball that much, but when Greinke had to bump, bunk up with out there in LA and Houston and things like that. Greinke was phenomenal.
I mean,
and he was phenomenal for us when we were like a really shitty
Right,
team.
right.
Yeah, I mean, he won that Cy Young when he was with Kansas City.
So it just sounds like he's basically just been consistent the whole time. Where,
Oh yeah, he's never had bad years. I
Okay.
mean, always just been phenomenal.
well, I know he was really good. I just we don't. I feel like just because baseball doesn't get talked about a lot on the major networks, ESPN and FS1, you forget that these guys are still around doing their thing. And you just never hear about
And
it.
what's really cool about Greinke, it has really little to do with him. It's more just about the situation. The trade to send him to Milwaukee, that was the trade that gave the Royals the World Series, basically. If you look at that return, that jump-started everything. That they got Alcides Escobar on that trade. They got Lorenzo Cain.
Yep.
They got Jake Odorizzi, and they got Jeremy Jeffries. So Cain and Escobar end up on the World Series
Right.
teams. Odorizzi was part of the trade that got James Shields, and then Jeffries was a really good bullpen piece for a couple of years, and then we traded him. I believe the year before, it was in 2013. We didn't get much for him, but that trade catalysts everything. Because if you get your everyday starting shortstop and everyday center fielder out of a deal that's on a World Series team, those are the two most important positions on the baseball field.
Yeah. You want to wrap it up?
Yeah,
All good?
I'm good. That
All
was
right.
fun.
We'll see if maybe we do something for the draft for the NBA. It sounds like you're not going to be a part of it, but maybe you might. We'll see. And then we do need to get together and do MMA talk with the next big card that'll be coming up. So, yeah. So, all right. This is it for us. Have a good one, guys.